All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Magic or Science. My next guest is a very special guest from the other side of the country, Dr. Mulder.
Correct.
He is, radionics specialist. That's a very special field that has to do with vibrations, energy. One way I learned about it is through manifestation. And he also builds a special machine, which is called the wishing machine, which is a very unique thing. And I brought him here. Actually, I contacted him, so we're both on the same wavelengths, but we're in the other sides of the country, right?
I would agree, yes. I mean, when you and I were talking, it was like I was talking to myself. I mean, we both were thinking the same way about a lot of different subjects, and it's good to meet a brother by another mother, so to speak.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm just a curious mind. I'm just like a curious kid, just trying to see what's going on in the world. Mm-hmm. So when I say magic, that's the title of my show, Magic or Science. People tend to laugh, but then I'm like, wait. And then I say the power of your mind, and then they're like, oh, yeah, that's very possible. And then I'm like, what's the difference? Mm-hmm. So kind of do it with your mind. I mean, there's objects that can help.
Correct.
Tell me a little more about radionics and how it works.
Radionics, the guy that came up with this idea was a guy by the name of Abrams. He was a neurologist out of San Francisco back around 1915, 1914, somewhere in that neighborhood. And he was sort of a very creative man, and I guess he had some variable capacitors in his lab or his office/laboratory. And he found out that vibration it worked with health. In other words, I don't know if you ever had a physical and you would have the doctor would tap on your abdomen, and what he was doing was he was probably tapping your liver, because here's the thing: a healthy liver or healthy organ has a different sound or makes a different frequency or a different sound than a unhealthy organ. Okay, it's just for whatever reason, he just figured this out. And I don't know how he came up with the idea, but he was able to use electronics, with variable capacitors, and somehow or another came up with a way to work in medicine. And back then, I guess whatever was the American Medical Association for the turn of the century, they were not too kind with what he was doing. They were not very impressed, and they thought it was medical quackery. And so he went through a lot of, I think, legal issues, plus a lot of people throughout the early days of radionics went through a lot of these legal hassles due to the fact that they were working with radionics in medicine or health. And that's something I really don't do. And whenever somebody asks me if I could help them radionically with some kind of medical issue, I always tell them that it's illegal in this country, and what they need to do is just Google health and radionics. They'll find a ton of information, because that's one thing I will not touch, just for the fact of the history of this technology.
So you have a technical background. What do you do exactly with radionics and the machine? Because this machine, the wishing machine is very, it's kind of like a genie lamp.
Well, I guess you could say it is, but in reality it's not. It's just a way of connecting the consciousness with technology. And what I've discovered, I think we can probably go down many different roads with this thing as to how and why it works. But it's not a genie. It's just a tool. It's just, I think you and I were using the analogy. You could walk down to the corner to the store and, or you could drive to the store. I mean, at the end of the day, both will accomplish the same thing, but one is faster and more convenient than the other.
You're talking about manifesting. You're talking about manifesting things, or wishing for things to happen.
Yeah, as a tool. I think I sent you some information, for example, and this is, I'm kind of proud of this one. I figured the first one you could strike it up to a coincidence. The second time, not so much. I have a client over in the Middle East, who was a client. I helped her with some legal issues, and when we started working on this stuff, about 6 months into it, she was getting a little upset because things weren't progressing as fast as she thought they should and what have you. And she said, "Oh, this radionics is a bunch of BS." Yeah. And I said, "Let's see what we could do here." So I went ahead and I asked her. I said, "Okay, you live over in Kuwait. how many times a year does it rain there? I said, well, I might get a couple of spring showers during the year. Hey, Brad, I live in a desert, okay? What do you expect? I said, oh, okay. So I went ahead and set a machine for it to rain. And within, I think it was 2 weeks, a storm front came from India, goes eastward to the Persian Gulf, and it goes north directly toward Kuwait. And I think they wound up within like 6 to 12 inches of rain within a 24-hour period. I saw videos of like the streets turning into rivers.
So
yeah.
So just to understand what you did is you created a machine so you could manifest your intention a lot stronger and a lot quicker.
Correct.
In the area you wanted.
Yeah,
so
correct.
You like amped it up. So people that like I don't want to say wish, like that meditate and just want to like they set attention and they want something to happen. You just made it happen like, I don't know, 100 times faster.
Yes.
With the machine.
Exactly. Again, it's just a tool. And
it's a tool. It's
just a tool. And I was kind of troubled at first about this situation because if a physicist or a scientist were to ask me, hey, how does this thing work? What's behind this?
It's radio waves.
Yeah, exactly. And I had to come up with some kind of a theory or an experiment that they would easily understand, that they would easily accept. And as a matter of fact, I set a machine just for that, to figure out why do radionics work. And 2 weeks later, I saw this little 5-minute cartoon about the double slit experiment. Okay, and it deals with quantum mechanics, and basically to sum the experiment up, when matter is not observed or measured, it behaves like energy. In other words, it doesn't really behave like matter at all. But when it is observed and measured, it goes back to behaving like matter again. All right. So what these machines are, they're an extension of your consciousness, but they're also observers. They observe reality constantly, and as a result, when you tune these machines, it tweaks reality. It's sort of a hack into reality, and that's the reason why I personally think they work. I think it's based upon quantum mechanics. I think that the double slit experiment is a fine example of why it does work. And again, these things are tools. They work in conjunction with your consciousness, and when you tune them, again, what happens is you go into reality. It has an objective, and it will constantly start going into tapping into reality, start to hack it to make things come into play that will turn whatever your intent is into physical reality, or what we call physical reality.
So I read about it a little bit. So the double slit experiment is pretty much when you're observing particles, they tend to change.
Yes.
And they act differently versus when you're not observing them. So I'm guessing the way radionics and the wishing machine works is when you're actually setting the intention, when you're observing it, it just tends to work, but it's just more amped. It's like on Adderall or something like that, or like I don't want to say on steroids, but yeah, you can say that. And it works maybe like 10, 20 times faster, because I've heard of crystals, and I think that has some component to do with that. Maybe you have some crystals in there. It's kind of sealed, so I don't really know what's in there.
Yeah, well, that particular model you have has 9 crystals in it. And the reason why I use crystals, if you'll research it, you'll find out that especially quartz is used a lot in the electronic industry.
Yeah.
And also the crystals are used in for memory, electronic memory. In other words, they're able to store memory. There was a famous electronics manufacturer. I think they did an experiment, must have been 6-7 years ago, where they were able to take a piece of quartz that's about half the size of a microscope slide, and they were able to store information on that slide, on that little piece of quartz, and they said that it had capacity to store basically all known knowledge of mankind.
I think it was Sony. If I'm not mistaken. I read something like that. Either Sony or Panasonic, but I'm pretty sure it's Sony. I'm going to go with my gut.
I thought it might have been Sanyo. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I think you're right. I think it might have been Sony. And it took extreme temperatures. It was they really, they did a lot of things to put it through a lot of stresses, but it still was able to maintain that information, or store that information. And that's what I think these crystals are. They're used to store the psychic information, if you want to put it that way, from the operator in the machine. And what happens is, as you set up the machine, you set up the operation, that intent or that information, that psychic energy, if you want to call it that, goes through the circuit over and over and over again. And as it goes, it's like a snowball rolling downhill. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what happens here. It just becomes more as the operation, the operation becomes, there's more time involved in it. It becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And as a little side note here, these machines, as they age, yes, as they age, they get stronger. They get more powerful. And
really?
Oh yeah. I've noticed this. Yeah.
Actually, that does make sense because I tried it right when I got it, and I left town for 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I was getting, my intention was just, I don't want to say it, but yeah, whatever it was. And it was being successful. But when I came, I was like, it's not working fast enough. And then I messed around with it, and it kind of just stopped. And now I just left it alone. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go back, and I'm just going to leave it like this, and then just, put it on the side and just make it grow. So this is the wishing machine. It has tones. It has certain things that you should put on it. One thing that bothers me is, I understand the concept. I truly believe in manifesting things. I believe that consciousness is non-local, and we're all connected through, let's just say, the force, ether. But what is it that connects us? What is it? Is it the force? Is it ether? Is it electromagnetic waves? Is it the quantum field? I talk to a lot of people. They're like, hey, man, it just works.
Just works.
Well, I tried it. It just works.
Yeah. Well, we're all basically made out of the same stuff. All physical things. We all have
energy.
One beginning. We all come from the same vat or the same pot, so to speak. And maybe that might be the connection. Again, I kind of look at the universe, and I think you and I were discussing this the other day, where I've come to the conclusion that we live in a holographic universe. In other words, nothing really is. It's not real. What we consider physical stuff, it's not really physical. It just has the illusion of being physical, if that makes sense.
Well, quantum mechanics, it does. It even proves it to a certain extent. Like they observe a subatomic particle, and then there's something within that, and then that has energy. Mm-hmm. And then that's it. It's just energy. Mm-hmm. And then there's a mathematician that studied, actually it was a physicist, that studied the universe, and apparently it was made of mathematical equations and coding. Right. They're like, why is the universe made of code? They're like, maybe it's a simulation.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not me making stuff up. This is like a legit PhD physicist talking about this. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've heard the same thing. I've heard that I've gotten, that information from the same places.
Yeah,
and, go ahead.
I've talked to a lot of people that have said this. I've even talked to shamans in Peru. They're like, this is not the world you live in. Even in India, they talked about samadhi, where you go somewhere else with your consciousness, and this is not the reality. And even in Europe, magicians or people that do magic, not like shows magic, like legit magic, they talk about something called gnosis. It's the same concept.
Right.
And it really happens when you have DMT trip, like when you're born or when you die. And then I guess you can smoke it too. But, usually, yeah. There's like something that happens that connects you to the simulation. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, again, I tell you, something happened. It was a long time ago. It really doesn't have anything to do with the subject matter that we're talking about. But I think it kind of pertains to it. I walked into this sign of this woman who was a major real estate realtor. She did a lot of investing, whatever, in this town. And right above her, there's a sign right above her desk, and it says, "Perception is reality." And I thought about that. That was interesting. It's the first time I ever saw that, and it made me think. And I kind of pondered with it for over a year and a half, and then I come to the conclusion it was missing a couple of words. It should say, "Your perception is your reality." That's really what I think it is.
That's very true.
Yeah, exactly. I know I'm going to mess this up, but Einstein.
No, go ahead.
Einstein says something similar to, the universe could be a good place or it could be a bad place. It's really your perception of it, your attitude. How do you perceive it? Do you perceive it as a good place or do you perceive it as a bad place? If you perceive it as a good place, then you'll see the good. Good things will happen. If you perceive it as a bad place, then That's all you're going to get is bad things happening
Right.
to you. You know.
Well, look at billionaires. They
Hmm.
perceive reality differently than honestly me and you or someone that's poor. They're like, I'm
Right.
made of money. Money. I'm attracted to money. I'll make the money. I don't care if I lose $300,000 today. I'll get it back. If I lose $300,000, it's gonna hurt a lot. But for them,
Yeah.
like, yeah. But for them, they just brush it off. But that's that
Right.
mindset. They
Right.
The way they see reality, who they are really.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Exactly. And you know, and that's sort of a side effect of these machines, because I've noticed here, what it will do, it will, as you use them, you will start to, well, you always had it, but you'll start to realize that you get your power back. In other words, you realize that, your life is not, guided by fate, that you are actually able to make choices. And I like to kid around. I do a show. It's called the Dr. Liz and Mulder Show on YouTube. And I like to kid around back and forth with her about this, but it's very true. That after I started using these machines, I realized, every time I walk into the lion's den, I'm one of the lions. Okay, and I assure you, at one time I did not feel that way. I felt like
But that's that mindset, right?
Yeah, it's the mindset. And once you change that mindset, everything changes. I mean, I could walk into a room of generals, and this doesn't make me special. Anybody could do this. I could walk into the mind of generals, billionaires, whatever, and I realize I'm just as powerful as they are. Kind of like, I mean, how many of them could change the weather on the other side of the world, for example? I mean, that's a unique skill set. I mean,
Nice.
but you see, even that, if people had the right right technology to do it and the right attitude, they could accomplish everything I've accomplished.
I mean, they're doing that in Dubai right now. So, I mean, but it's a couple $1 million. Yours is a little cheaper in your process. Yeah.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. You can't even say, Dr. Mulder's crazy or anything like that, because people are actually doing it. They're just doing it in a different way.
Exactly.
They're just doing it a different way. It's like saying 30 years ago, hey, man, I'm going to have a cell phone in my pocket, and I could just talk to anyone around the world like this, face to face. They're going to be like, dude, are you out of your freaking mind? Like, what are you smoking?
Yeah, exactly.
But now, hey, we're talking. Yeah, here we are.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have the world in your pocket. Literally, a little device, a little handheld device, and you're able to access the world, talk to anybody in the world, find out anything that you want in the world. And again, hell, 20 years ago that was science fiction. 30 years ago, that's definitely science fiction.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I don't even think we even thought of it. So
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just again, I think a lot of it's attitude, a lot of it's mindset, it's mental. And all I did was provide a tool. I just build tools for people to do this. And I've sent these things all around the world. I think every continent in the world has it, except for Antarctica.
By the way, he's the guy that builds it, so you can order from him.
Yeah.
I'll leave the link. I think it's really cool. If you don't believe in it, that's your problem. If you kind of believe in it, I mean, what do you have to lose? You're not going to hurt yourself if you try. But so I'm calling you for myself, because I'm trying to work this, fine-tune it so I can better my life.
Okay, let's go for it.
So I put it there. I fine-tune it. I find the right frequency. We'll talk about that. So you're saying the longer I leave it and just not mess with this thing, the stronger and more potent it will become, as in the connection will become stronger between what I want and what is.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be merged in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, some of my most powerful machines are some of my first ones. The reason why is because they're some of my oldest. And I'll give you a little side note. I like these are just things that have happened to me. I don't, I don't know. You can take from it for what you want. I was running out of room. Every flat surface I had in my laboratory had a machine on it. Okay, so I said I got to do something here. So what I decided to do was build a wall. I have like almost 85, maybe 100 machines attached to a wall, and I used Velcro, screws, whatever. But I attached them to the wall, and after I did all this, something was really kind of strange, because I started hearing this hum. I started hearing this buzzing sound, or what have you. I was thinking, where the heck is this coming from? Is this a fan in my computer? So I turned off all my electronics. Okay, still hearing this thing. Could have been a light. No. I found out it was those machines. They were all physically touching each other, and there was like a chorus. They were producing a sound, and no way could they produce anything audible. But I could hear a sound from coming off of this. It was like a high frequency pitch. you know,
You're messing with the quantum field, man.
I don't know. I
mean, hey,
like I said, I have hypotheses as to why these things work. I have theories, as to whether or not I'm correct. I don't know.
Well,
all I gotta say is, you go ahead.
I thought about it. And I was like, I really don't like putting power in something outside of me. But then I was listening to it. We talked about this off air. And I was like, well, I meditate and I want to manifest a better life for myself. And I have. It's slowly but surely compounded. But it's the equivalent of me walking from Las Vegas to New York City, Manhattan. If I walk there, I'll get there. Don't get me wrong. I have strong will. It'll take me months to get there.
Right.
Or I could take a bicycle. It'll probably take me a month to get there. I could take a motorcycle. I'll probably get there, I don't know, in like a week.
Right.
I could take a car and get there in like 3 days. Or I could fly and get there in about 3 hours. I would take the motorcycle because it's just, hey, man, life is fun, dude. That's just me, dude. But you know what I mean? Like, this is equivalent to maybe like taking like a moped or a motorcycle. It's a lot faster than walking. Yeah, It's the same concept. You're going to get there. But you just have a machine helping you do it.
Exactly. And one thing you need to remember, too, the most important part or the most powerful part of these machines is the operator. It's you. You are the most important part of this. If you're not involved in the scenario, they don't work. These machines will not do anything. It's just another device you have sitting on your shelf. But the fact is that you're actually interacting with this machine, and it's designed to interact with you. And it's designed to accomplish things for you. It's like you said, just as you put it, in your analogy, it's simply a tool. It's something that makes your job easier. It makes it easier to accomplish things.
So when you're saying I'm the one using it, so there's knobs on this thing.
Yes.
And you twist those knobs. Can you tell us about frequencies and what the knobs are all about?
Sure. That's kind of a hard one to place, but apparently every scenario has a frequency to it. All right. I've seen machines that have 2 or 3 knobs and they work fine. But the more knobs you have to these machines, because the circuitry that supports the potentiometers, which is what these knobs are, it's a variable resistor. The circuitry that's behind these variable resistors, these potentiometers, they all do one thing. It's like you're adjusting an old-time analog radio. Okay, you're tuning into a
radio station that you want.
A radio station, exactly. If you go too far, you'll start to pick up static. If you turn it back, you'll get that sweet spot where it just sounds great, and all you're doing is fine-tuning that machine to do the objective or the goal that you may have to that you want to use that machine for. All you're trying to do is just tune that machine for that, and that's what happens when you tune the machine. And there's different ways of doing it. Some people they use the stick plate, which is that plastic plate. I have a video that tells people how to do that. Other people they'll use like a pendulum, and as they turn the knob, the pendulum will start to swing, so they'll get a reaction. That they know that they reach the right frequency. Others, they don't even need any of this. They'll just turn a knob and they'll just follow their intuition. And once they feel like, okay, it's right, this is where it feels right here, then they'll leave it alone. They go to the next knob or they go to the next dial. And again, it depends on the person that's doing the tuning. I use a stick plate, and that's just me. I'm old school. Yeah. That's just me.
No problem. But here's the thing. I found out that it finds the opposite frequency of what you want. And then you have to do the opposite.
Oh,
that's interesting. Yeah. That's what it's called, an inversion?
Yeah, frankly, you can go 2 ways. People, old school, they would just tune the machine for the current situation as it is now. And if they want the exact opposite, I think Joshua P. Warren did a video where he said he tuned the machine for Joe Blow without money. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly where I got it from. That's where I got it from.
All right. Okay. And so what you want is Joe Blow with money. So you just invert, or you just turn everything to the mirror image. Like if it lands on a 6, the mirror image of it on these dials will be a 4, for example. All right. Yeah, you can do it that way. me personally, I just go directly. I could visualize what my end results is, or what it is I'm trying to manifest, and I'll just tune the machine directly for that. And that's pretty much what I suggest to people.
That's kind of what I did.
Yeah, and if you're able to do that, I think it's so much easier and so much cleaner. It takes a lot of aggravation out of the process of tuning the machines.
Okay, cool. That's awesome, man.
Okay.
I like it. I like it very much. Yeah, it's pretty cool, but I highly recommend people try it out. I'm just messing around. Here's the thing: it's like, what do I have to lose? Nothing. What do I have to gain? Like tenfold.
Yeah,
Tenfold.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, people think it's nonsense, but I'm like, I just want to get ahead of the game. Like in like 30 years, people when first Bitcoin came out, I was telling people like, oh, it's like $5, $10. Like, no, man, this is stupid. It's not based on anything. Next thing I know, it's worth tens of thousands.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I got into Bitcoin when it was 730,
Nice.
and I should have gotten into Ethereum when it was $1.50, because it was when Bitcoin was 730, Ethereum was $1.50, and I think Ethereum right now is like almost like $1,200 or $1,400, something like that.
Nice.
And Bitcoin's 16,500. Yeah, I got it. I fell into that. Cliff High. He's the guy that got me involved or got me interested in cryptocurrencies, and I love the technology behind it because they were able to solve the problem. I know we're kind of going off on a tangent here,
No,
but they were able to solve the problem of double spending, and which was the whole problem. In other words, when you send value from point A to point B, it can't be replicated. It's already set in stone. And that's the reason why I got into that. But yeah, I love that. Matter of fact, that's one of my biggest hobbies is cryptocurrencies.
So the guy that invented it is a genius, which brings me to
beyond.
my next point. Yeah. I mean, we still don't know who he is, by the way. So here's the thing: he kind of shifted the world, which brings me to my next topic of shifting reality, which goes into the Mandela effect. We're talking about that off air.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us what that is first of all, and
okay, sure.
how it works?
Well,
I don't know how it works, really. I mean, yeah.
I'm just
How
seeing
it
the
works is
effects of it.
complex.
Yeah, I'm just seeing the effects of it. Well, I became aware of the Mandela effect probably about 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
I knew something was off, because I would remember things and saying, it wasn't like that. I don't remember it being like that. For example, I think you and I were discussing South America. I remember when South America was almost directly under North America. It was separated by Mexico and Central America, okay? But I remember when it was almost directly underneath North America. Now, if you look on a map, Central America is out in the Atlantic Ocean, and the west coast of Central America is almost parallel with the east coast of North America. All right, so that was what got me. That's when I started thinking, okay, there's something wrong with this. And I started hearing about. I saw a video from a gentleman. I think his name was Christopher Sinatra, or I think that's how you pronounce his name. Anyway, he started talking about the Mandela effect, about how they were noticing changes in the names of products, food products. That's what he did. He designed software for food distribution. And he noticed, a name would change, for example, pork and beans. Van de Kamp's pork and beans, how I remember it. Van de Kamp's pork and beans. Now the name's changed. It's Van Kamp's pork and beans, and it's always been like that. There was other products like Whiteout. Okay, it was spelled a different way. Lyrics and songs were different than the way I remember.
So the main thing that got me was Nelson Mandela being released from prison. I swear to God, I don't know about all that other stuff because it's a little beyond me. But I swear to God, I remember Nelson Mandela being released from prison. President Obama flying out to Kenya and personally shaking his hand, saying, "Hey, you're my hero. You're an activist. You went to jail all these years, and now you're out." And then I'm on the treadmill one day, same place that I saw this. I saw, Nelson Mandela dies in prison. President Obama mourns him because it's his hero. I'm like, what the hell? I stopped. I was like, it just didn't sit right. That concept, like, it gave me, now thinking about it, gives me goosebumps. I'm like, it did not sit right with me. Like, what happened? Like, there's like a shift. Something happened. I'm like, this did not happen. Like, I could have sworn I remember this guy dying, or being released from prison, and now he's dying. Like, what's going on?
Oh, Hey, I'll tell you something even funnier. I remember him being out of prison or being released from prison back in the 80s or the 90s. It's either the Reagan or the Bush administration. That he wasn't, he was in prison, but he got released. Yeah, he was with his wife. I think his wife's name was Minnie, I think it was her name. And I remember a different reality than you remember.
Yeah. So what's going on? My reality is different from yours. Yours is different from mine.
Exactly.
And then the mainstream reality is different from both of us remembering the same thing. I don't know about South America, North America. I don't know about the food, but I could swear on anything I ever believe in, that Nelson Mandela was released from prison. That right. I remember. I saw that on TV. It was not a hoax. It was on CNN at the gym. Like other people saw that too.
Oh, right. Right.
So what's going on? Who did this? I want to know. I want to talk to this person. Is it the timekeeper? Who is it?
Well, it could be if we're living in a holographic universe or in some kind of computer program, it could be the programmer, his or her or itself, that's making a little tweaks in reality.
Like self-correcting itself or what? Artificial intelligence?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for example, there was a famous battle in World War II that I don't ever remember, where right off the coast of North Carolina, we lost over 500 ships and 5,000 sailors due to U-boat battles from Germany during World War II. I don't ever remember that happening, but apparently that's a famous battle. You can find the wreckage, the whole 9 yards.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's right off the coast.
You're telling me it was erased from history? World War II, it's not even that long ago. It's like 77 years.
Or it just appeared in history, or things are starting to change. I'll give you another example. Everybody remembers like World War I. Why did we get involved in World War One? To help the French and the English fight against the Germans. I think if most people will say, "Oh, it's the Lusitania," that it was sunk by a U-boat and we got involved. Well, in this reality, there's a place called Black Tom Island, which is right off of Jersey City, New Jersey, which was a munitions depot. And back around, I think it was like 1913, 1914, something like that, some German saboteurs go to that island and set all these munitions on fire, and they start to explode. And in this reality, a piece of the shrapnel, like the size of a car, went across the bay and hit the torch of the Statue of Liberty and damaged the Statue of Liberty. Okay, wow. It was a massive explosion. They could feel it down in Maryland. They could feel it in New York City, this kind of a thing. This is like one of the first attacks on the U.S. in our history, like in the last 100 years. And nobody knows about this until now. And now it's a regular thing. But nobody's ever heard of it before. Oh, yeah.
I need to check those two things. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But, okay, I get it. I don't think the media is trying to hide it. Because people will remember that. I mean, you remember that for years and years. If something like that, it's very tragic. Like we both remember 9/11.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that happened. I mean, unless someone erases it, but yeah, that happened.
Right.
But those things, people would remember that, man. But I feel like it's more subtle things that people change just to mess around. Like I wonder if they're paying attention or they're not in the present moment. Mm-hmm. They're too worried about paying their bills. They're too worried about their health, which is all fake anyways.
Right, exactly.
Let me just mess with them a little bit. Let me change famous people. Let me change this. I feel like it's, I mean, they say God is cruel, but I mean, I don't know if it's God or if it's, artificial intelligence. I don't know if it's a kid and we're in a simulation like The Sims.
Right, exactly.
But there's a lot of, I mean, I talked to a lot of neurobiologists and neurologists. Mm-hmm. And like off air, they're like, yeah, man, we live in a simulation. I was like, dude, why don't you say this on there? It's like, oh, my job, my career, this, that. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, there's a lot of evidence that prove we live in a simulation. Because if you think of something happening, you really, 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 really want it, set the emotion in there. Right. It tends to happen. And I mean, I'm guessing your wishing machine will help you get it sooner.
Oh, yeah. That's the whole point.
Yeah. That's
the whole point.
But that means you can change the program, like in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Some things can be bent, some things can be broken.
Exactly. I mean, if you're trying to fly like Superman, if you want to have be immortal, there's some things that physically, I'm sure that you could do this. I'm sure they probably could be physically overcome. But I haven't figured out a way to do that yet. And
but here's the thing: I've heard of Tibetan monks that levitate. I don't know about flying.
I have too.
But here's the thing: if I see someone doing something, guess what? I'm going to be able to do it too. It's like the 4-minute mile. If I see this guy levitate in front of me in like middle of nowhere, I'm going to be like, holy shit, dude, I could do that too.
Right. Exactly.
Or put their hand through like wood or something like that. Not like chop through it, but like put their hand through like metal, like vibrate at a certain frequency.
Yeah, you want me to tell you how they do that?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, man.
Okay.
Yeah, give us
Reality blinks on and off about 20 trillion times a second. In other words, we exist, we don't exist. We exist.
Is that the latency?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The frequency of reality is about 20 trillion times a second. Okay, and the reason why that monk is able to put his hand through a solid thing is because he was able to tune into that frequency, and he was able to move as it didn't exist. He was able to travel. Well, it exists, he can't travel. It exists, he could travel, and so he was able to do this. So from our perception, this is miraculous. This guy, he's done something here. Yeah, it is miraculous. He was able to tune in his frequency of his physical body with the frequency of reality, and he was able to make that operation of passing his body through a solid object.
Okay. But it's more like finding the right frequency and finding the right tune and getting what you want.
Yeah, I mean, they do it through meditation and that kind of a thing. And I think it's all mental. It kind of goes back to, what is reality? It's our perception of reality. I look at reality differently than I used to. I used to think, okay, I'm going to knock on this desk. This desk is real. It exists. It has length, width, depth. It's a physical thing. But after I changed my perception of how things actually work, I look at things entirely different.
Do things come to you more easily now?
Oh yeah.
So it's not more like, I would say it's not cause and effect. You're the one causing the effect.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I sent you evidence of something, an experiment I did. I started this experiment on November the 1st. It's either November the 1st or November the 2nd of this year. And what I was doing was
last
year, Sorry. Yeah, of last year. Yeah, I know. It's hard. We're only about 4 days into this year, so, give me a break here. All right, but no, anyway. I did this experiment a couple months ago. I set it up, and just turned in a few dials for a certain anomaly to happen. And the reason why this is unique to me, and I'm in wonder of it because it's unique to me because there's physical evidence of the results of this operation.
Tell us what it is, man. Tell us about
Tell
us about the project.
Okay. Well, it kind of gets back to what we were discussing earlier at the beginning of the show. All right. I like picking. I have this client over in Kuwait, and I just like giving her a hard time. I'm a practical joker, and I like messing with her and that kind of thing. Plus, one of my best friends, she's a colonel in the U.S. Army, Dr. Liz. And anyway, she was over in Germany. Or not Germany, over in Kuwait. And anyway, I decided, okay, I'm going to mess with her. So the first thing I did when Liz was there, I went ahead and turned a few dials, and she got some rain. Okay, that was easy to do. Then next thing she got was a little hail. I did it again. She had a hailstorm right next to the base. Then I did it again. I was going to up the ante, and I decided I was going to try and make it snow. That's one thing.
So you're making it rain.
And instead of making it rain, I was going to make it snow, because in order for it to snow, the temperatures would have to drop. This is like in February, so I think the average temperature in that part of the world is like around 65, 70 degrees Fahrenheit, I think, around this time of the year. So what happens? It snows. I think it snowed on the 28th of January 2016, I think is when it happened. All right, so what I decided to do, we did a show the other day about weather, and while we were on the show, I decided, you know what, damn it, I'm going to do this again. And so I said on the air, the following show, I said, I'm working on a project where I'm going to try to make it snow in a place. It's going to be the second time I tried to do this. And so I set the machines on November the 1st, November the 2nd of last year, and for it to snow on Christmas Day, all right, in Kuwait City. Well, here's what happened. It didn't snow on Christmas Day, but it did snow on the 27th, 2 days later. And that's the second time in recorded history it's ever snowed in that part of the world.
Wow. Awesome. Cool, man. Yeah. But I still want to understand how the Mandela effect works, dude. No one really has an answer. How the Mandela
effect works.
But I feel like people are – but I feel like it has to be someone or something entity or we're in a system, but someone keeps messing around. They keep tweaking little things. They're like, are these guys paying attention or they're not? Like all these other things I really haven't paid attention to, but as far as the Nelson Mandela, that I swear on everything I believe, man, I paid attention to that because there's always an emotion tied into it. I was at the gym running, and I was right in front of a big screen TV, and I saw President Obama go out there, shake Nelson Mandela's hand. He got out of prison, and I remember sometime later, I was in the same exact place doing the same exact thing, and I remember I was running on the gym. I was running at the gym on the treadmill, and I saw on the screen President Obama mourns Nelson Mandela's death. I was like, what the hell? I had to stop. I was like literally running 6-7 miles an hour. I stopped. I was like, wait a minute, man. I just saw something else happen just not too long ago. But I wasn't really paying attention to, the world around me, this, that. But that certain thing, it caught my attention. And I've always hung on to that. Just that one particular thing. And there's also the Monopoly guy.
Yeah.
His eye.
The monocle.
The monocle.
Yeah.
That is something else that people paid attention to. I'm like, yeah, that's always been there.
Yeah, it's not there now. It never has been.
Yeah, it has. It was there, dude. It was there. It was like a joke. It was a running joke.
Yeah. Well, I've heard of 3 theories as to why we have a Mandela effect when it started. The first one is CERN. Okay, the particle collider. What they're thinking is that possibility. I heard there's a physicist. This guy's like a prodigy. He's 13 years old, and he was going through why he was talking about the Mandela effect. And I think one of his theories was that the CERN, what they've done, they've messed with matter, and as a result of that, they created another reality, another dimension, that we have infinite dimensions, infinite realities. And by what they did, they created a different reality, and this reality is close to what we have, but there are a few differences. Okay? That's the first theory I've heard. The second one is quantum computers. Okay? I've heard yay and nay about quantum computers. Some people say, oh, it's a bunch of BS. Others say, oh, it's the real thing. They can get answers or calculate answers that would take a supercomputer 10,000 years to do it. They're able to do it like in a matter of a few minutes. And I talked to a computer scientist about this, about quantum computers, and I asked him, my theory about, again, I'm kind of going off in the woods here, but I'll get back to.
Go ahead.
All right. I asked him. I said, "Well, quantum computers. My theory is that basically, from the perspective of the quantum computer, it's taken thousands of years to come up with that answer. But from the perspective of the operator or the onlooker, it's only a few minutes.
Because we're in the computer.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's one of those things where it's on and off, and it's off and on at the same time.
So for our viewers that don't know, quantum computers don't operate as a 1001. They don't operate like that. They're actually a 1 and a 0 at the same exact time. So they could do something 100,000 times faster.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they could just rebuild itself. If when I mean 100,000 times faster, that's I'm underestimating. It's probably like 10 million times faster than a regular computer.
Right.
And that's insane, man.
Yeah.
That's insanely fast because it's the same exact thing. There's like special codes, apparently a quantum computer, that would take a regular computer 42 years to break. It would take that like 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And those things fascinate me because here's
and what's number 3?
Okay, number 3. Okay, okay. Let's do number 3. All right, number 3 is it's a quote unquote God, the creator of this reality that's doing this, and they're just kind of tweaking things. And my question is, how come is it that some people notice this and some people don't?
Because they're asleep,
some people,
dude.
Yeah, some people, this reality's always been the way it is now. There's countless things I could tell you. For example, works of art, world famous works of art. The Mona Lisa, I remember it. I know this for a fact. I even read an article about this in a magazine. At one time, the Mona Lisa did not smile. It had like a plain look on the face. There was no expression. Yeah. All right. Now she smiles. She
I saw that in the movie 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Like Glass Onion. They're talking about that.
Yeah, exactly. and now she smiles. My question is, what happened? Okay.
When I saw it, it wasn't smiling. This is like 10 years ago. I actually went to the Louvre.
Oh, okay. It wasn't smiling when you went to it?
Yeah,
well,
when I went to it
again. Yeah, go to it again. It'll be a different painting.
That's insane. That's insane. It was not smiling. It was just like there's a bunch of people around it, but I went close and I stared at it for like 10 seconds.
Right.
And it was not smiling. It just had like a basic, like I just saw a ghost complexion.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Now she smiles, and what the thing about it is, if you look at every picture, no matter how old these pictures are of the Mona Lisa, they will all have her smiling.
Right, but my thoughts different.
Yeah,
And
you remember it entirely differently than
right, but it's not like a. But here's the thing: that thing doesn't really pertain to my life per se. So it's not like I have a grand delusion of it, like schizophrenia.
Yeah,
it's just something very small. But I paid attention to it. It's something I paid attention to, dude. It was like I was in Paris. I literally went out of my way. I had a very little time. I didn't even have time to look at that museum. I just went straight there, and I stared at it for like 10, 15 seconds. It was so important to me, I didn't even bother taking a picture. It did not smile. I don't know if it smiles now, but I mean, it didn't smile back then. Like we changed it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, and again, that's very important because you say, what does this pertain? Well, it gets back to showing us it's more proof that reality is fluid. Okay, you and I were talking about this, or I think you were going to title the show, Reality is Fluid. And it's because what it shows is that things change. The way we perceive stuff or things, that they'll never change. It's always the same. It'll always be the same. No, that's not the way it is. And in this reality that I live in, I don't know about anybody else, but the reality I live in, things have changed from the past, the present, and I'm sure it's going to happen in the future.
But here's the thing. You have the power to change your own past.
Correct.
From the future. That's mind-blowing.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, and again, these machines, I mean, there's other modalities. I mean, people use magic wands. They use candles, magic work, you know, forms of dowsing to change reality. I mean, there's so many different ways of doing this, okay? But what works for me and what I think is the simplest way and the fastest way of doing this kind of stuff, which is quote-unquote magic, the fastest way is turning a few dials and projecting your intent into the machine and let the machine do its job.
The reason I titled my show Magic or Science is because magic is science. We just don't understand yet. We just don't understand how it works quite yet.
Yeah.
It works. That's cool, man. You figured it out. I don't know if you figured out the whole piece, but you figured out how to tune it, dude.
Yeah.
It works, dude. It's like people that created fire. They have an advantage over other people that don't.
Yeah. I mean, what is the spark of life? What is life itself? I mean, what you know, say you see an inanimate object that was once a live animal, okay, a live, we'll say a cow, was it once a live cow, and you see another one next to it that's alive and kicking and is animated, and right next to it is just a hunk of meat. What is the difference between these two entities? I mean, they're both the
like
same.
That Michael Jackson show?
Yeah.
Where Michael Jackson's been dead for like 10 years, but they did a hologram. People trying to tell the difference. But they were upset that he was, like, you know, that they took advantage of him. But they're like, hey, dude, you were there. You paid for it. Why were you upset?
Yeah.
You didn't mind at that time.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and again, it goes back to perception and that kind of a thing. But, yeah, again, it's you know, people, what I've noticed, too, and I love I always go on little tangents here, but, you know, what I've noticed, again, I think especially in the last 20, 30 years, people have this victim mentality. You know, woe is me. I don't have any control over my destiny. And I'm just looking at it like, that's bullshit, man. You know, if you're able to think and you're able to focus and you have the will, you could change things. It may not turn out exactly the way you planned it, but it is usually, you will accomplish, you will accomplish, aim for the stars. You may reach the moon, that kind of a thing. You will, your life will definitely improve. It may not be exactly the way you thought it would be, but you'll definitely improve things. You'll definitely change things. And like you said, it's that 4-minute mile. The reason why people could do it now, before that speed record was broken, nobody thought it was possible. After they saw a human being do it, yes, it was possible, and now anybody can do it. Well, not anybody.
Anybody can do it.
Yeah, a trained athlete can do it.
Yeah. But here's the thing: people have it in them. That's like, hey, dude, he did it. I could do it. Same thing with levitation. If I see someone do it right in front of me, I'm like, hey, dude, maybe I could probably do that too. No problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like you said, I think it's a very important fact that you brought up. The reason why we look at something as magic because we don't understand it. Once you understand it, it's like the magician's trick. Once you know how a magician's trick works or what have you, it's no longer magic to you. Okay, I mean, it's
or this machine.
Exactly.
It doesn't have an antenna. But 30 years ago, if I showed people, like I said, dude, if 150 years ago, if I showed that to people and took a picture of them, they would burn me at the stake.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's like, oh, you have the 12? Dude, the 14's out. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, you're behind. Like, well, I'm sorry, you know, like mine's cost $9, theirs cost $1,200. Like, I'm behind, you know? So, yeah.
I'm still using a phone I bought in 2018. My phone's like 5 years old.
brother.
I don't even care.
Yeah.
You know, as long as I can see my emails and get my texts, I don't even care. But yeah, cool. I get your point.
Right on. So reality is fluid. Right on, man. Doctor, thank you so much for jumping on my podcast. I really appreciate it. I'm going to put your link so people can actually order the wishing machine from you. I know you had made these. It's not manufactured. It's not made in China. Surprise.
No, I do make them here. I tell you what I'm going to do, because you've been such a great host to me for your, for the viewers of the show.
Yeah.
If you will contact me, and I'll give the link here. And yeah, I know your name. I'll give you. I'm just messing with you. I'll give you my email address, and you can post that also. If they'll contact me directly and let me know they heard me on this show, I'm gonna give them a 20% discount.
Nice.
Just for letting them, because it's just my way. I just want my way of thanking the viewers here, and and thanking you for letting me come out and talk a little bit about some very strange things.
Right on. It's not really that strange. Thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Go and subscribe, and we'll definitely catch you next time.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
All right.